Can you beat Painkiller, using only the Painkiller as your weapon? The short answer is, yeah. The long answer? Well, let's find out. First of all, I want to state the rules for this challenge. I'll be playing a new game ++, meaning I will use cards previously obtained, including one card from the Battle Out of Hell expansion. As you can imagine, I can only use the Painkiller. Demon Morph is allowed. This run will be in Insomnia. You might wonder why Insomnia. Basically, I want to do this same run for all the 7 weapons this game has, and if I want to start the game with the bolt gun, I need a cheat code. I'm aware there's a glitch where you start the game with every weapon. It has happened to me before, but to make it consistent, I'll just use the cheat for those weapons. Don't worry about ammunition. I will also use the tarot card that grants 666 ammo, for the sake of consistency too. In this video, I will only show parts of each level. But you can check every level entirely in this playlist. At the end of the video, I'll put my tier list for bosses for a Painkiller only run, and after I do this for the rest of the weapons, I'll make a tier list considering how hard it was to beat the game using only one weapon. Enough talk. Let's start the run. Chapter 1, Level 1, Cemetery. Being the beginning of the game, this level is pretty straightforward. Melee enemies, no major gimmick to defeat them and a great environment design. The only enemy that stands out is the Black Demon. Chapter 1, Level 2, Atrium Complex. This level introduces one mechanic I wish they explored more in later levels, gas clouds. In this case the gas they use slows you down for some seconds. Since I'm playing a new game I'm not unlocking the tarot cards, but if you are new to the game, this level gives a useful card. I recommend you to get it. Chapter 1, Level 3, Catacombs. Okay. This level is kind of clunky. There are 2 dangerous parts, the Wooden Bridge of Death, and the Proto-Vampire / Vampire King. They went crazy with the bridge and tried to give it realistic physics. Unfortunately, it wasn't done correctly and you can easily die, either being crushed by the bridge or sent to the pit. Not only you can die by the bridge, it can also corrupt your save file. If you reach this part and you don't see the bridge, your game will crash. The only fix is to return to the map and start the level again. Fortunately, the bridge part is not at the end of the level, and for the Vampire King, it has a gimmick. You can directly shoot at him, but he has like 99,999 health points, so you can demon morph and one-shot him or use the power of the sun. Chapter 1, Level 4, Cathedral. For this level, I'd mention the introduction of yellow gas. It prevents you from shooting for some seconds, and the red gas, direct damage over time. It also includes one big enemy, like a semi-boss, but don't worry, just shoot at him, no gimmicks needed. Before I move to the first real boss, I want to mention that this game, and this level in particular, have great ambient music / sounds. I sometimes listen to a playlist dedicated to the game's ambient music. Chapter 1, Level 5, Enclave / Necrogiant. While it's the first boss of the game, I wouldn't say it's the easiest one for a Painkiller only run. The first part of the fight is straightforward, just shoot at him. The problem is when he breaks his chains, he will summon a tornado, Fortunately, you can hide under these chapels so you don't fly around. But, it's still a challenge. I used the best cards to beat this boss. If you beat it with regular cards, please let me know. Since I'm playing an Insomnia, I can't play the prison. So let's continue to the next level. Chapter 2, Level 2, The Opera House. In this level, the major challenge for new players is to find the entrance. Whenever I see a streamer in this part and they don't know how to continue, I normally give hints. One funny anecdote for this level happened to a guy streaming this game. He was going around with Bunny Hop, and when he impacted a fire extinguisher, it exploded.
No.
That makes me think you can actually deal damage by jumping into enemies, but who knows if that was the case. Chapter 2, Level 3, Asylum. I mean, do I really need to go into details for this level using only the Painkiller? In fact, it's encouraged to. Chapter 2, Level 4, Snowy Bridge. When it comes to the Snowy Bridge, there's not a lot worth mentioning. What I do have to say is that they went crazy with the tramway, just like the wooden bridge. It can glitch out and kill the player. I had the privilege to clip this.
Vale. ¡Ay! ¡Ay! ¡Tío! ¿Pero esto qué es? ¡Míralo! ¡Dios! Esto solo me pasa a mí, ¿no? ¿Hola? Estoy en el infinito. Adiós, mira, estoy muerto. Adiós. Uy. ¡Bravo, bravo, bravo! ¡Bravo!
Chapter 2, Level 5, Town. The town is one of my favorite levels from the game. The environment, the music, both battle and ambience, the enemy design, everything is near perfect. As for the challenge, the main issue would be to land your Painkiller secondary fire to the witches. Personally, I timed my demon morph to eliminate most witches. Well, that and the little maze at the end of the level. Chapter 2, Level 6, Swamp Thing. Okay. Let's talk about one of the hardest parts of this challenge. As you probably know, to beat this boss you have to burst the bubbles that appear near the Swamp Thing. The issue is, the Painkiller projectile is slow. It's almost impossible to react on time, shoot at the bubble and have enough time to land your shot. You can't use the haste cards, because it affects your projectile negatively, so it all depends on anticipation and patience. If you lab this battle, you can probably make it in 10 to 15 minutes. I'm going to show parts of this fight, but you can check the entire film uncut here. Chapter 3, Level 1, Train Station. After the odyssey that the Swamp Thing was, Train Station was like a walk in the park. Most enemies come at you so you don't have to move around very much. The only downside of this level is the ambient music, not saying it's bad, but someone copyrighted it, so you can't freely upload runs here like you do with the rest of the game. Chapter 3, Level 2, Abandoned Factory. When it comes to this challenge, there are few things to mention about the Abandoned Factory. If you are new to the game, just remember that if one object is burning and you can't find how to continue, blow that object up. Also, you can actually get stuck in this level. If you jump into a certain area without triggering enemy spawn, you'll have to load the checkpoint. Chapter 3, Level 3, Military Base. For this level you should have no issue. Most enemies are from previous levels and mean no major threat. Maybe tanks and anti-aircraft guns look intimidating, but they can be destroyed with the Painkiller. Other than that, this level is just huge and crowded with tons of enemies. Chapter 3, Level 4, Ruins, / The Guardian. Alright, let me explain why it took me almost 30 minutes to beat this boss. Before doing this run, I was aware you could beat the Guardian using only the Painkiller, in less than 3 minutes. I saw that video. But for some reason, I decided to do it without that strategy, simply walking around shooting to his hammer. The main problem was, he can actually heal himself unless you destroy his hammer. I didn't even know that because most of the time I use other weapons and beat him in no time. So, I had to learn when and where to aim my Painkiller out fire. Fortunately, once you destroy his hammer you can speedrun him using the tarot cards. One last thing I will add here is that after beating this boss, during this run, I got yeeted out of the map. I was even scared because it looked so out of bounds I thought I was going to die. Chapter 4, Level 1, Castle. When it comes to this level, there's not a lot worth mentioning. No enemy is so far away you doubt the Painkiller can reach it. After beating the Guardian, you appreciate this level is not huge and only has 127 enemies. Chapter 4, Level 2, The Palace. For this level, I'd say the main difficulty is its length. Well, that and some Templar Knights are tricky to hit with the Painkiller projectile, because of their location and or their movement. At the end of the level you get a surprise, but using tarot cards will make it easy. Chapter 4, Level 3, Babel. Okay, for Babel I'd say the most noticeable things are the stone block traps and the Parker at the collapsing floor. You can die if you don't reach the safe zone in time. At the end of the level you get ambushed by tons of enemies, but it shouldn't be a major issue. Since I'm playing in Insomnia, I can't play the forest. I probably will do it later, but first I want to do this run for all the other weapons. Chapter 4, Level 5, Tower, / Alastor. Believe it or not, I think Alastor was the easiest boss for a Painkiller only run. Necrogiant had tornadoes, Swamp Thing had the bubbles, Guardian could heal himself, but Alastor, The only challenge is to hit him in the first part. Fall damage shouldn't be a problem. If you know where to shoot at him, he won't even attack you at lower levels. When you fall to the last floor, just use your cards. Hide, shoot and repeat. It's true the Painkiller is not great for destroying the statues, but still, easier than the other bosses. Chapter 5, Level 1. City on Water. Alright, this level had me worried. There are some enemies that I know are far away, maybe unreachable with the Painkiller. Considering this, I had to time my demon morph just in case I couldn't reach those monsters. As you can see here, I could destroy most enemies with demon morph, and most important, that one guy at the top. The rest of the level was not difficult. Chapter 5, Level 2. Docks. Okay guys, I need to know. Do enemies here have better aim than the rest of the game? Because every time I play this level, I feel like they either hit more or just aim better. Not only that, this level has 261 monsters, dangerous Parker moments and hell angels. I swear those guys rocket jumped. Chapter 5, Level 3. Old Monastery. I am aware you can skip almost the entire map with Parker, but let's play it normally. To me, the main problem you can face at this level is the map itself. For example, some jumps can be tricky if you are not ready, and most important, this damn rock. If you jump over it, you can either take damage or instantly die. The rest of the level is just defeating monsters. Chapter 5, Level 4. Hell/Lucifer. I really like this level. The environment is well made, the concept is incredible, and the atmosphere gives me chills. When it comes to the boss, Lucifer, it depends on the gimmick and your knowledge. If you know the deal, you can beat this boss in 3 minutes or less, including the demon morph required to battle Lucifer. And there you have it, you can beat Painkiller using only the Painkiller as your weapon. But wait, what about the Battle Out of Hell expansion? Well, let's find out. Battle Out of Hell, Level 1. Orphanage. Okay, if you already played the game, you know this is the moment of truth. At the beginning of the level, you only have the Painkiller, so no issues for the challenge. Enemies in this level are interesting, especially if you only played the German version. Most of them just require some right clicks. One of the exceptions is the Preacher. This guy has a gimmick and is unkillable until he absorbs enough souls. Once you do that and defeat him, you face the ultimate problem for this run, the Flying Nun. You encountered this enemy earlier in this level, but you didn't have to defeat her. Unfortunately, you can't damage her with the Painkiller. I tried everything, demon morph using souls, using the tarot card, moving behind her so her fire projectile hits her or the walls, but nothing worked. I remember years ago doing a manual demon morph, using the tarot card that reduces to 50 the souls needed to morph. That's why I thought it would work to defeat the nun, but I was wrong. It's how they programmed the nun, so there's no way around. You have to burn the witch. So, you can beat Painkiller using only the Painkiller but not the Battle Out of Hell expansion. But wait, what about the rest of the expansion? How hard is it to complete the levels using only the Painkiller? Let's see it. Battle Out of Hell, Level 2. Looney Park. You can skip almost the entire map with Parker, but as I did in the old monastery, I'm going to play normally. Apart from praising the level music and general design, there's not a lot to mention here. The roller coaster at the end might feel too long for some players, I would agree on that. Battle Out of Hell, Level 3. Lab. Okay, for the lab I was kind of worried. I know some enemies here are far away, so let's check how far they are. Fortunately, all enemies are close enough to be affected by the painkiller. It just takes time to aim and hit them. One part worth mentioning was that cage where the doctors are trapped in. For a second, I thought I wasn't going to reach them, but somehow I jumped inside and the gates open. Other than that, the enemies are no threat. Beat the Mario Brothers part and reach the tunnel. You don't have to kill the fish, so just jump to reach the spider and finish the level. Battle Out of Hell, Level 5. Dead City. When it comes to this level, the major complication is its duration. A huge level with tons of enemies. Speaking of enemies, the ones that require more attention are dragonflies. More preachers and panzer demons or spiders. To be honest, I used the scepter card to one-shot the spiders. Battle Out of Hell, Level 6, Leningrad. After beating this game like 10 times, I do think Leningrad is one of, if not the hardest level to beat, and I'm not talking about this run but in general. So imagine how hard it is to do it using only the painkiller. I even had to equip Health Stealer to be able to do it. Almost every enemy has ranged attacks. Except for Ditos and tanks. Yeah, they can run you over to instantly eliminate you. It happened to me during this run. Lamau. Huge map with hundreds of enemies. This really felt like hell. Thankfully you can time your demon morph for the tanks. Friendly tip for new players, be careful at the end of this level. Battle Out of Hell, Level 7. Colosseum. Speaking of huge levels, is this the largest map of the game? I feel like it is. If not the largest, it probably has the most amount of enemies, so overall not difficult but tedious to complete. It does have some traps that require parkour but nothing crazy to do. I have to say, this level has a great skybox, looks amazing. This last monster has a gimmick. If you are new, just remember that fire is the key. Battle Out of Hell, Level 8. Underworld. We are getting close to the end. Thankfully this level is not as long as the previous ones. Also, not having to worry about the level card unlock challenge helps a lot. No parkour required or enemies with gimmicks. Battle Out of Hell, Level 9. Stone Pit. Okay, we kind of back with large levels. Regular enemies but with some parkour. There are some monsters that are a bit far away, but as you can check in the full video, all of them are reachable with the painkiller. One remarkable enemy is the Voodoo Priest. They can F you up if you are not paying attention. Battle Out of Hell, Level 10. Shadowland, / King Alastor. Oh yeah, Mr. Krabs. We're about to finish this journey, so, To defeat King Alastor you have to do one thing. You can't just shoot at him. I'm not going to spoil it for the new players, but if you know what to do, King Alastor is kind of easy to defeat even if you can only use the Painkiller. The hardest part for this boss is to get the gimmick to work. The rest is just tarot cards and spam your alt fire. That is it. That's the expansion completed using only the Painkiller, except for that damn nun. So, to answer that question at the beginning, yeah, you can beat Painkiller using only the Painkiller. For the expansion, there's only one enemy that screws up this challenge, which is unfortunate considering all the effort I put into this run. Before ending this video, I want to share my tier list of Painkiller bosses, for a run using only the Painkiller. All of this is considering you know each boss gimmick. Let's start with the Necrogiant, or El Negociador, as I called him when I was a kid. Why I think this boss is hard. First of all, he is not easy to hit. Ironic considering how huge he is, but he moves accordingly, and your projectile is slow, so most of your shots have to be anticipated for his moves. His attacks are not hard to dodge at the first part of the fight, but when he breaks his chains, he can use tornadoes. This can kill you easily, and the only way to avoid them is to hide, limiting your already short range of attacks. Not the hardest, but still tops the other bosses. For the Swamp Thing, you already know the deal. Hitting those bubbles with the Painkiller is a mix of luck and anticipation, because even if you aim right he can block your projectile while walking. Not only that, his tentacles deal a lot of damage and are not easy to avoid compared to the other bosses. Your movement is limited to the solid ground. Even with Iron Will to avoid damage on the water, you still move really slow. So even if you know how to beat it, it is still the hardest boss in my opinion after completing this run. When it comes to the Guardian, I have mixed opinions. I did know how to defeat him, and it still took me half an hour, mostly because unless you destroy his hammer, he can heal himself. That would make him the hardest, or at least is the one I needed the most time. But, if you do the strategy of this video, it gets really easy. I think I'll put him in medium because if you know the trick it's easy, if you don't know it's hard. For Alastor, I think it's one of the easiest ones, even for a Painkiller only run. I know there's fall damage, the statues, hitting him at the beginning. But he doesn't have a gimmick to be able to damage him. The stage is not as huge so your projectile hits easier than the other bosses. Also, you can even avoid his attacks in the middle of the tower if you know where to move. Overall not a challenge as the Swamp Thing or the Necrogiant. If we talk about Lucifer, I think we all agree that he is not hard for this run. The major complication is to know his gimmick, and if you know it, you only have to beat 66 enemies that have 1 HP, easiest boss for this run. Okay. Since I did this run in Insomnia we don't face the Panzer Spider, so let's conclude with King Alastor. As I mentioned before, the major challenge to beat him is to make his gimmick work. Once he is vulnerable, you can use your cards and obliterate him in seconds. Easy boss, but not sure if it is easier than regular Alastor. Let me know what you think about this order. Well, there it is, a run using only. Okay, I'll stop. I said Painkiller too many times in this video. Thank you for watching. These days I'll be doing runs for the other weapons at my Twitch channel. Feel free to come and say hi. Take care.